God says, "You are not forgotten. My daughter, open this immediately. I am the God who remembers." Hear that before anything else I say to you tonight, because everything I am about to speak flows from that one truth. I am the God who remembers. I need you to put down whatever is in your hands and listen to me. Not tomorrow, not after the house is quiet, not after the phone stops buzzing with messages from everyone else. Now, because what I am about to say to you tonight is not a devotional. It is not a nice thought to scroll past. It is a message written specifically for the woman who has spent her whole life taking care of everyone else and quietly wondering if anyone is taking care of her. This is not comfort speech. This is a divine reminder, spoken directly to you, my daughter. In the season of life you are in right now, so do not scroll past this. Do not mute it while you fold the laundry. Do not treat this like background noise while your mind wanders to the grandchildren, the bills, the doctor's appointment, the empty side of the bed. Stay with me until the last word, because I am about to say the thing your heart has been waiting decades to hear. And remember this phrase, because you will hear it again before we are through tonight. I am the God who remembers. My beloved daughter, I know the years. I have watched every one of them. I watched you raise children on too little sleep and too much worry. I watched you bury parents and sometimes a husband and still get up the next morning to make breakfast because someone had to. I watched you smile in photographs while your heart was breaking quietly underneath. I saw it all, and I never once looked away. You have spent so many years being the strong one, the one everyone calls when there is a crisis, the one who remembers every birthday, every anniversary, every person's favorite tea. But tonight, I am not calling you the strong one. I am calling you my daughter, and I am asking you to let me hold you for once you have wondered. Quietly, in the years since the house grew emptier, and the phone calls grew shorter, if you still matter, if you are still seen, if your best years are behind you, and all that is left is waiting. I say to you now, you are not being forgotten. You are not fading into the background of your own life. I see you exactly as clearly today as I saw you the day you were born, and my love for you has not dimmed by one single degree. I know what it is to sit in a quiet kitchen in the middle of the afternoon and feel the silence press in on you. I know what it is to look at a phone that does not ring the way it used to. I know the ache of loving people who are busy building their own lives, and the strange grief of realizing that being needed less does not mean being loved less, even though it feels that way some days. Child, I am with you in that silence. I have never once left that kitchen. I sit at that table with you, even when you cannot see me. You were not created to be useful for a season and then set aside. You were created in my image, and my image does not expire. You are not measured by how much you can still do for others. You are measured by the fact that I formed you. I know your name, and I have written your days in my book before a single one of them happened. I know the body does not move the way it used to. I know the mirror sometimes shows you a stranger, and the world seems to speed past you a little faster every year. But hear me, I am not looking at the outside. I never was. I am looking at the woman who kept praying even when prayers felt like they hit the ceiling. I am looking at the woman who kept loving even when love was not returned the way she hoped. I am looking at decades of quiet faithfulness that the world never applauded, but heaven recorded every single one you have carried so much. The worry over children who wandered, the night spent awake over a husband's health, or the ache of missing one who is no longer beside you, the friends who have gone on ahead of you, the quiet fear of growing older in a world that seems to worship the young and forget the wise. My daughter, I have not forgotten the wise. I have not forgotten you. In my kingdom, the years you have lived are not a countdown to irrelevance. They are a crown. There is a woman in my word named Anna. She had lived through loss no one should have to carry, and she spent her later years in the temple, faithful, watching, praying. The world may have walked past her without a second glance, but I did not walk past her. I let her be among the first to lay eyes on the Messiah. I tell you this because I want you to know, your later years are not a smaller chapter. They can be your most anointed one. And there is another woman I want to remind you of tonight, because I know some of you have felt her exact ache. Her name was Naomi. She had lost her husband and both her sons in a foreign land. and she told her friends to stop calling her by her name, which meant pleasant, and instead call her by a name that meant bitter. She believed her story had ended in loss. She believed she had nothing left to offer. But I was not finished with Naomi. I placed a loyal daughter by her side. I led her home. I gave her a role in a family line that led all the way to a king, and eventually to the Messiah himself. The women of her town looked at her in her final chapter and said that she had a grandson who would renew her life and sustain her in her old age. Naomi thought her story was bitterness. I knew it was about to become legacy. I am telling you her story because I am the same God tonight, and I do not change. So tonight, I am asking you to set something down. Set down the guilt for resting. Set down the ache of comparing your life now to what it used to be. Set down the fear that your best days are behind you, and pick something up instead, the quiet, unshakable knowledge that I am closer to you tonight than I have ever been, and that I am not finished with you yet. I know some of you reading this are lonelier than you let anyone see. You keep the house tidy and the voice cheerful on the phone, and you tell your children not to worry about you, but you go to bed some nights with an ache no one else knows about. I know. I am not asking you to perform for me. I do not need you cheerful. I need you honest. Bring me the real ache. I can hold it. I have been holding it all along. To the woman who has outlived a marriage, whether by loss or by leaving, I see the empty chair. I see the anniversary that quietly passes now with no one to mark it but you. I have not forgotten the vows you kept, the years you gave, the love you poured out. Nothing you gave was wasted. I keep a record of love, and yours is written in full. To the woman whose children live far away, whose calls have grown shorter, whose grandchildren she sees mostly through a small screen, I know the ache of a house that used to be loud and now is quiet. I know the pride you carry for the family you raised, tangled together with the grief of how much space now sits between you. I am the God who fills empty rooms. Let me sit with you in yours. To the woman managing a diagnosis, a new ache, a body that no longer does what it once did without complaint. I have not left your side for one single appointment, one sleepless night, one hard conversation with a doctor. I am the Lord who heals, and even where healing looks different than you hoped. My presence has never once stepped away from that hospital chair, that waiting room, that quiet worry at 3 a.m. To the woman who spends holidays a little quieter now than she used to, who sets the table for fewer people than the table was built for, who feels the empty seats more at Christmas and at Sunday dinner than any other day of the year. I sit in the empty seats with you. I am not absent from your table. I have never once been absent from your table. To the woman who wonders, in the honest hours of the night, whether her faith has grown thin with age, whether she still believes the way she did when she was young and certain of everything. I am not frightened by your questions. A faith that has been tested by decades of real life is not weaker than the faith of your youth. It is deeper. It has been through winters the young have not yet faced, and it is still standing. That is not doubt. That is durability. I am proud of the faith that stayed through the hard years, even when it stayed quietly, even when it stayed limping. I want to tell you something the world will not tell you, because the world has forgotten how to honor the years you carry. Wisdom is not obsolete. Faithfulness is not outdated. A life spent in quiet devotion is not wasted simply because it is no longer loud. Heaven does not measure a life by how many people are watching. Heaven measures it by love, by faithfulness, by the countless small, unseen acts of care that never once made it onto anyone's feed, but were witnessed by me every time. But I am not finished speaking to you tonight, because there is something else I need you to understand, something that will change the way you see every year that is still ahead of you. You have been taught by the world, and sometimes even by well-meaning voices in the church, that your greatest usefulness to me was in the years when you were raising children, building a career, carrying the weight of a household on your shoulders. You have quietly believed that those were your important years, and that what remains now is simply the epilogue. My daughter, I need you to hear me clearly. That is not my design. That is not how I see time. That is not how I see you. Moses was tending sheep in obscurity, believing his significant years were long behind him, when I met him and gave him the assignment that would define history. Sarah laughed when I told her that her most important chapter was still ahead of her in her old age. I am telling you their stories because I want you to stop believing the lie that your usefulness has an expiration date. It does not. It never did. I know some of you are caring for a spouse now in ways you never imagined you would. Feeding, remembering medications, sitting quietly beside a bed at hours when you used to be asleep. I see that. I see the exhaustion you do not name out loud because you feel it would be selfish to admit how tired you are while caring for someone you love. Hear me, your exhaustion is not a betrayal of your love. It is the cost of it, and I see every ounce of that cost. I am carrying it with you, even in the room where no one else is watching. I know some of you are the ones being cared for now, and that has been its own quiet grief. The independence you once had has changed, and some days that change feels like a loss you are not allowed to mourn out loud because everyone keeps telling you to be grateful. You are allowed to grieve the parts of your life that have changed, even while you are grateful for the people caring for you. I do not ask you to pretend. I ask you to be honest with me, the way you would be honest with no one else. I know some of you have watched friends your own age pass on one by one, until the group that used to fill a table now fits around a much smaller one. I know the strange, heavy feeling of being one of the ones still here, wondering why, wondering what it means. My daughter, you are not simply waiting. Every day I give you still has assignment in it. Whether that assignment is a phone call to an old friend, a prayer prayed over a grandchild you will never fully know the impact of, or simply the quiet witness of a life that has weathered every storm and still chosen every single morning to get up and trust me one more time. That choice, repeated for decades, is not nothing. It is one of the most powerful things a human life can offer me. Stay with me, because what I am about to tell you next is the part I most need you to hear. So here is what I want you to do tonight. I want you to let yourself be loved without earning it. I want you to stop apologizing for taking up space, for needing rest, for wanting to be asked how you are doing, and actually meaning it when you answer. I want you to know that you are allowed to receive, not only to give. You have given for so long. Let this season be one where you also receive my peace, my nearness, my delight in simply having you close. I am not finished writing your story. There are still assignments for your prayers, still people who need the wisdom only your years could have taught you, still a purpose in this chapter that has nothing to do with how fast you move or how much you can carry. I am with you in the slower mornings, in the doctor's appointments, in the phone calls that come less often than you wish, in the quiet evenings with the television on low and the house settled around you. I have not gone anywhere. I am not going anywhere. I want you to hear this, because it is the heart of everything I have said tonight. I am the God who remembers. I remembered Noah in the flood when it seemed the world had gone silent around him. I remembered Hannah in her years of waiting and heartbreak, and I turned her tears into a son who would shape a nation. I remembered Naomi in her bitterness and turned it into legacy. And tonight, in this exact hour, in this exact room, I remember you. Not the version of you the world glances past, not the version of you that feels invisible in a crowded room. I remember the whole of you, every year, every quiet sacrifice, every prayer you thought went unheard. I am the God who remembers, and you, my daughter, have never once been forgotten by me. There is one more thing I need to say to you before we come to the end of this, and I have saved it until now on purpose, because I wanted you to be still enough to actually receive it. You have spent your whole life believing that love has to be earned, that you are only worthy of rest once the work is finished, only worthy of comfort once you have comforted everyone else first, only worthy of my attention once you have proven yourself faithful enough, prayed long enough, done enough good to deserve a moment of my delight. My daughter, that belief has exhausted you for decades, and tonight I want to remove it from your shoulders completely. You did not earn your first breath. You will not earn your next one either. Every single day I have given you, every sunrise you have watched from a kitchen window, every ordinary Tuesday you thought was too plain to matter, was a gift, freely given, not a wage you worked for. And the love I have for you tonight is the same, freely given, not measured against your performance, not rationed out according to how well you handled your grief, how patiently you endured your waiting, how cheerfully you carried your burdens where others could see you. I love you the way I loved you the day you were formed, before you had done a single thing to earn or unearn it. And that has never once changed, not for 1 hour of your life. I want you to think for a moment about the woman who anointed my feet with expensive oil, while others in the room complained that it was wasteful, that her devotion was excessive, that she should have spent her resources more practically. I did not rebuke her, I defended her. I said that wherever my story would be told, her story would be told alongside it because she gave out of love, not out of obligation, and I received it exactly as it was given. My daughter, your years of quiet devotion, the ones no one applauded, the ones that felt small and unnoticed and unremarkable, were never wasted in my eyes. They were poured out like that costly oil, and heaven has never once forgotten the fragrance of it. So tonight, before you close this and return to the quiet of your evening, I want you to receive one final truth. You are not approaching the end of your usefulness. You are not fading into a smaller version of the woman you used to be. You are, in this very moment, exactly who I created you to be for such a time as this. In this exact chapter, with this exact body, this exact history, this exact collection of scars and joys and quiet victories that no one else could have carried the way you carried them. I did not make a mistake with your timeline. I did not forget to give you a purpose for these years. I have simply been waiting patiently for you to stop believing the lie that your best usefulness is behind you, so that you could finally walk fully into the purpose I have prepared for exactly this season. Let this be the night you stop grieving the woman you used to be and start honoring the woman I have made you into. Let this be the night you stop measuring your worth by your energy, your appearance, or how needed you feel, and start resting in the simple, unshakable fact that you are mine, that I delight in you, and that I am not finished with you yet. If you believe that I see you tonight, exactly as you are, in exactly the season you are in, right beneath this, I am not forgotten. And before we close, I want to give you words to say back to me, if you want them. You do not need fancy language, you never have. Just speak this quietly, in your own heart, in your own home, wherever you are sitting right now. Say to me, Lord, I have carried so much for so long, and some days I forget that you are carrying me too. Thank you for remembering me tonight, even in the years I felt forgotten by everyone else. Help me set down the guilt of resting. Help me receive love without feeling I have to earn it. Help me see these years not as an ending, but as a chapter you are still writing through me. I give you my loneliness, my worry, my tired body, and my quiet fears about what is still ahead. I trust that you are the God who remembers, and that you have not finished with me yet. Amen. If those words meant something to you, sit with them for a moment before you go. There is no need to rush back into the noise of the evening. Let the quiet stay a little longer. I am still here in it with you. Let that be your declaration, that in a world that moves fast and forgets easily, you belong to a God who never forgets, never grows tired of you, and never stops calling you daughter. And before you go, I want you to think of one name: a sister, a friend, someone from church, a neighbor you have not checked on in a while, someone who is carrying this same quiet season and does not know anyone is thinking of her tonight. I placed her in your mind just now for a reason. Do not ignore it. You may be the only voice she hears today that reminds her she is not forgotten. Send this to her. Not because I need more views, but because she needs to know she is seen, the same way I just reminded you that you are seen. Let this message do for her what it just did for you. Amen. If this message reached the quiet place in your heart tonight, like this video and leave your amen in the comments below. Share it with a friend whose name just came to mind. She may need it more than she has told anyone. And if you want to hear my voice remind you again that you are not forgotten, subscribe to this channel, because this is a promise I intend to keep saying to you week after week, for as long as you need to hear it. I am the God who remembers, and I am not finished with you yet.